Cathie Reid, really good to talk to you. You've been in training for years to go up on one of these flights. What does that entail? What does it feel like?
Yes, look, I mean, the training that I've done is really in preparation for the zero gravity component and also the G-force component. So one of the challenges in zero gravity is for some people it actually can make you vomit. So it's always a good thing to know whether you're likely to experience that, and particularly for your fellow passengers, whether you're likely to experience that before you're actually up and in that scenario. And with the G-forces on the exit and re-entry to the atmosphere, there again, the G-forces can actually make you pass out. So it would be a real shame to actually have the opportunity to have the experience and then spend it unconscious because you passed out from the G-forces. So the training is really just around how you actually manage around those eventualities. And the good thing is there's some pretty easy hacks to help you with them. And
so you were good on both fronts?
Good on both fronts. Yeah, didn't pass out and didn't vomit. So fingers crossed. When my number comes up and it's my turn to go, I can hold to that record.
So how has the pandemic affected your preparation and when you might be able to fly?
Well, look, I mean, I think the reality is it's as you saw today. Virgin Galactic flies from Mojave, flies from New Mexico, which at the moment is pretty challenging for an Australian to get there. But, the reality is there's quite a lot of people ahead of me in the queue to actually do their flights. So hopefully by the time it is my turn and I get that call, we'll all be vaccinated and borders will be opened and it won't present the same challenges as it did if the call came at the moment. So I guess maybe it's a silver lining in the COVID piece at the minute.
Why did you want to do it?
Look, I mean, I think one of the things that I've always been really passionate about is looking at the world from a different perspective, whether that be personally or through a business lens, making sure that you spend time kind of out of your own industry, out of your own environment, so you don't just fall victim to constantly seeing everything through the same lens and seeing the same pictures all the time. And going to space and looking back at the Earth is probably really the ultimate expression of that. There's no bigger way of looking at the world from a different perspective than actually leaving the world and looking back at it from space.
And so do you think that space tourism will eventually be a viable industry?
Yeah, look, it's a really interesting point because obviously it is very expensive at the moment. But when I was in Mojave a few years ago visiting the Virgin Galactic operations there, one of the team on the ground said, it's important to think of this in the same context that, many, many years ago now, when the original New York to London flight routes were being established. And it was crazy expensive and it wasn't accessible to very many people at all. But he said, if it hadn't been for the people who actually signed up and made that happen, we wouldn't be in the scenario that we are today where, pandemic aside, but in normal circumstances, flying from London to New York or in either direction is actually relatively accessible for many, many people. Obviously depends on the class of ticket that you buy. And he said, you have to think of this space travel in the same manner as that. At the minute, sure, it's crazy expensive and it's not open to everybody, but without people signing up and actually starting that initial premise, that is what actually makes it accessible to everybody in the long term. So hopefully by the time I have grandchildren, it's something that actually won't be anywhere near as exciting and unique as it is today.
Yeah, Cathie, I can't let you go, and we're running out of time, without asking you about the rivalry between the billionaires. So Richard Branson bringing this flight forward so that he could beat billionaire Jeff Bezos with his rocket launch. What do you make of that rivalry? It really is something to be the first, isn't it?
Look, I mean, I think it is a pretty special moment. Richard's done a number of interviews this week where he said it's not about being first, it's just a happy coincidence that they're both going in July. So read into that what you will. I saw Elon Musk was actually there at the launch today and, supporting and cheering along. And I think in one of the press conferences Richard did after the flight, he said that Jeff had sent him a lovely message, and I'm sure he'll do the same when hopefully Jeff has a successful trip next week. So look, I mean, I'm sure there's a little bit of gnashing teeth that one's beaten the other, but they're fierce competitors and fierce rivals in business. But I think at the same time, focused on what is essentially opening up space to the broader population and really creating that new era in the space age, which hopefully many people will also get to enjoy.
Yeah, it's fascinating. Cathie, you must be beyond excited for when it's your turn. Thank you so much for taking the time to tell us all about your preparations.
Pleasure. Thanks so much, Karina.